What is up, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. We are, as the kids say, back on our bullshit for the first time in 2022. I gotta tell you, I feel like we haven't done this in forever, because I feel like that there's been one topic in the news specifically that just keeps getting stories written about it in the past couple of weeks. And we're going to talk about it today, much to our chagrin.
Yeah.
Micah is also here.
Hi. Hey,
we're going to talk about fun stuff first, though, because I've got a lot of games that I've been playing. I got myself a little pre-Christmas present for myself, from me to me, because I happened on Amazon like the week before Christmas, and lo and behold, in stock were some Xbox Series S's, no strings attached, like no bundles or anything like that. And I was just like, all right, fuck it, let's go, let's do it.
You adulterous whore.
Yeah. I've been playing. So my goal with the Series S is I'm just going to have Game Pass and that's it. Like, I'm not going to buy any games for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the best bet, especially for somebody like you. But yeah, that's the best bet, right? Like, you don't need all the, bells and whistles. Like, you just want to play some of the games that they have.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Including the game that I've played the most since I've gotten it, which is Forza Horizon 5. A substandard racing game. But, crucially, a very good open world game. And that's why I've been putting so much time into it. Because what's weird, so like, if you like to do circuit racing, which is what I like to do in my racing games, this is a bad game. Like the circuit racing stinks. Like, it's still taking place on streets. It's just like they're all street courses, but they're all dirty because it's in Mexico, and like it's not like you're racing on nice pavement, and all the races. You
might want to restate that last statement. But not all dirty because you're in Mexico.
No, but you're not racing on, like,
you're not racing on tracks,
professionally paved, like roads, right? Like, you know what I mean? So, also, Micah's drivatar is an asshole. Like, that's also annoying because I'm just racing against people on my friends list, essentially, because that's how the game works. But like, all the races are 3 laps. Like, that's lame. If you do like the street races, which are the better races in the game, that and like the off-road stuff, those are like sprints where you have like a predefined start and finish, and you're just trying to get there as quick as you can. So, like I said, as a racing game, it's not the best. But what it does that's really good is it does the great, like, thing that a good open world game makes you do, where like you're like, all right, I'm just gonna do this last thing and then get off, and then all of a sudden, get offline, and then all of a sudden, like, on your mini map, you're just like, what's over there? Like, I see something on my mini map that I want to go check out. There's a barn rumor that has a classic car that needs to be restored, and I'm right near it. Like, it'll take me 2 minutes to go find that fucking barn. Or, like, there's these roads on my map that I haven't explored yet because I get XP for, drawing in the lines on the map, essentially. Like, that's pretty cool. And all of a sudden, like, you're fucking around, and it's like, oh, you've unlocked a new Horizon adventure. I'm like, oh, I did? Well, I might as well do that while I'm here. And then, like, before you know it, you spent an extra, like, 30 minutes playing the game, just because there's shit that's just there for you to do. Like if they put an XP board by me, like, I'm gonna go smash through it. I'm not just gonna leave that there to go find it another time. So it's really good at that, and that's why I've been playing. That's why I've been playing it. There's a lot of cars in the game. Like, if you like any kind of, like, if you're into any cars, like, not necessarily like cars in general, but just like specific cars, like, you're gonna love this, because there's like everything in the game. Did I go out and buy a DB5 on the marketplace as soon as possible? You bet your ass I did. Yes, absolutely. You're damn right I did that. Did I just get the McLaren, the AMG 1, the car that you start the game with, that you drive in the festival with, in a wheel spin the other day? Fucking right. I can't wait to race that thing. But also, while I am enjoying the game for now, I know that when GT7 comes out, I'm probably never going to touch this game again. It is like the junkiest junk food of car games. Like it really is like scratching like the Burnout Paradise itch for me, and that's what it does really well. So, but it's fun.
The people were saying that that could have been a game of the year contender.
It was IGN's game of the year
Wow, really?
as an outlet. Yeah, they gave it game of the year. I don't know about all that. Like that,
Yeah.
like that's pretty high. That's now that I've played it, I'm like, it's a really good, it's a really good Forza Horizon game. But but also realize that like if you're into like it's going to cater to people that like arcade racing more. So like if you're an arcade racer, like this is great. If you like more sim racing, like this is on the furthest arcade side of sim that you can possibly be before you get into literally arcade racing. Like you can tune your cars and adjust, you can finely tune them if you want to. But because the races are so short and because you're not racing like, these like 20 lap races or anything like that, like it's not going to matter that much. Like it doesn't change how the car feels to drive all that much. Like I did the Goliath, which is like, this is the longest race in Forza Horizon history. And it's like a 20-minute race. Like that's like a race in Gran Turismo. That's not anything.
That's not. Yeah. So, I've had hour-long races in Gran Turismo 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
those still exist in GT Sport and they'll still exist in GT7. Like I've literally sat in my chair racing on Cirque du Sarthe, which is the Le Mans circuit, for an hour and 10 minutes, like doing several laps around that thing because it's an 8-mile long track and it takes fucking forever. Like that's what sim racing is closer to. Forza Horizon is an open world game that just happens to take place in cars. Like it's literally like the Breath of the Wild of the racing genre. So it's fun. Like I said, I'm enjoying it. I feel like I'm casting shit on the game, but I don't mean to. It's a fun game, and I'm having a good time. But it's also going to be immediately dropped once we get into the February Apocalypse release season that is impending. I've also been playing the game that Mike has been playing the most, and so I'm going to let him talk on this a little bit more because I haven't been playing it a lot. It's Halo Infinite, the first Halo game I've ever played, by the way.
Really?
For any length of time, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what you think about it, but I put a lot more time into it, and I put a lot more time into the multiplayer. That's all I've been playing. I don't care for the single player campaign. They made a big deal about like Halo being in like an open world now. And yeah, it does have an open world, but that's just to kind of, mess around in. The story missions, at least the ones that I've been on, have all taken place underground in, corridored hallways. And then when you're done, then you go back out to the open world where you can, kind of just have fun. And I don't care for the story missions. I don't know what's going on. The story missions, them being just in like linear hallways, it's not interesting. The level design's not interesting. What is interesting is the open world part. But there's only so much of that I can take before I just kind of get bored with it. Like I like zipping around with the grapple shot, the hook shot. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's a hook shot. They stole it from The Legend of Zelda, and that's cool and all. But the campaign, the thing that I was actually waiting for, doesn't do it for me. What does do it for me is the multiplayer. Look, I'm not a a professional like first person shooter guy, right? Like I generally do not care for them. Do not care for like multiplayer aspects of it. I'm weird that way, but yeah, I really like this. I like every single game mode. I don't like all the maps, but I have ones that I absolutely love and ones that I'm just like, all right, like I'll play on this map. But the maps are interesting. And some of the maps have they're tailored for specific game modes. I like every game mode. I like every game mode. There's one game mode called Fiesta where each time you spawn, you get a new weapon, and it keeps things fresh and fun. There's your regular free for all. There's your regular team slayer. There's tactical slayer, which is basically no shields, no radar, and you get a three-shot burst rifle. Headshots kill instantly, and body shots may take up to anywhere from 2 to 5, depending on where you hit. But it's really fun, if a little bit frustrating. Big team battle is hectic and fun. You're controlling all these zones, and you have to get all three of them to score a point. But like, it's super fun, man. Um, they have this event going on where if you do certain challenges, you get this samurai armor, and the weeb in me, I have to have a samurai armor, right? Even if I'm not going to see it, right? Like, I have to have it, and it's super fun. I'm one challenge away from finishing my weekly challenges, and the weekly challenges start on Tuesday at 1 p.m. and I'm almost through them.
So you did buy the battle pass, is what you're saying?
Yeah, of course I bought the battle pass. Get out of here. No, I didn't buy the.
I wasn't sure. You were very non-committal the last time that we talked about this.
Nope. I'm in. I'm down. I am down. Mark me down. Yeah, I didn't buy the $28 battle pass, but I did buy the $10 battle pass, and I've gotten my $10 worth out of this game. I might get another one, but when next season. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel about it. But yeah, man, I really dig the multiplayer, man. I love it. I feel like Time to Kill is balanced perfectly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'll take a full clip of your battle rifle to maybe take somebody out, but depending on what weapons you have, like there's one like revolver type weapon where a melee and one bullet will kill them, man. And like, it feels great, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. I fucking hijacked somebody was riding around in a ghost or whatever, and I used my grapple shot in multiplayer. I used my grapple shot to latch onto the thing to hijack him out of it. It killed him, and then I turn around and I kamikaze into his buddies. It's just fun, man. It's super fun. And I'm halfway decent at it. So yeah. Now I'm very curious because this is your first ever Halo.
Yes.
And my favorite Halo from a story perspective is Halo Reach. It was the last Halo that Bungie ever did. And if I'd have known you were going to get an Xbox and play a Halo, I would have suggested play Halo Reach first. But I'm very curious to see your opinion on this game.
So it's funny. Coming from Destiny, which I've played a lot of, it's interesting to play Halo because I'm like, I know 343's had it for a decade now at this point. But like like you can obviously see like where the DNA of Destiny's gameplay came from when you play Halo. As someone like I said who's played a lot of Destiny, it's and you can also kind of see where Call of Duty evolved out of, like it with Halo, because Halo of course predated Call of Duty, and it just leans harder on the the gunplay side of it, I guess, and not necessarily like the movement and like the speed of Halo. I too have been spending most of my time with Halo in multiplayer because it is very fun. It's interesting after playing this. Like, I don't understand how anyone would prefer Call of Duty if they've played both games. Like, Call of Duty just feels slow when you compare it to Halo. Like, it's fast paced, it's fun, and it feels like it's that little bit of like it's got that little bit of bullshit where like you don't care when you die because like it's so wild and fat and crazy that like shit happens. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you get crushed by a team. That's not fun. Like it isn't in a game. But it's also a game set up for big plays, which I love. Like that's also that Destiny DNA, like where you can have someone on your team where you can do something really cool to lead to your team winning, especially in some of the objective modes, like if you're playing CTF or Oddball or something like that. As far as I'm enjoying the multiplayer a lot. As far as the campaign goes, I played the first 2 missions. It's fine. Like the story seems incredibly boilerplate. I'm not very impressed by what the story is so far, or just like the Master Chief character, or anyone around the Master Chief character right now. And really, like the first thing that I realized when I started playing this game, and just kind of knowing the history of the series in a lot of ways, is I'm like, you know what I should probably, like if I do want to get in the Halo campaign, you know what I should do? I should probably just go get the Master Chief collection and play the first 3 plus Reach and call it a day. Like I probably don't need to play through the campaigns of 4, 5, and Infinite to appreciate the Halo story.
To be perfectly honest, you could just play Reach, you could play ODST, and maybe the first Halo, and that's about it.
Yeah, 2 and 3 not worth it.
2 is fine. 3 not so much. 4, I mean, get out of here. 5, what the fuck? No. Yeah, those 3 Halos, and you can play them. You can play Reach first because that's like a prequel. And it stars a cast that are way more interesting than Master Chief.
Yeah.
Right. And ODST again has a cast that's way more interesting than Master Chief. And then there's Master Chief in the first one, and it's like, all right, he's your typical like faceless soldier. He's a cipher, right? He does badass things to make you feel like a badass, right? Like I get it, but if you want like story and characters that you actually give a damn about, like Reach is it.
We'll see. Like I said, it's not high on my priority list. I'll continue to fuck around with Infinite's multiplayer, which by all accounts, from what everyone says that actually knows about the series, is very good compared to the last couple of outings, especially. But that's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward. Like what I'm actually really looking forward to is when like Fireteam mode shows up at some point and things like that, because that I think will be fun to do, like with you and listeners and stuff and things of that nature. So I could see diving into that stuff a little bit more, because I've heard nothing but good things about that mode specifically as well, in terms of how that goes. I've also been playing a couple games on my Switch, and I'll talk about one, and then I guess we can toss an ad read in, and then I'll talk about the other one, just so I'm not droning on for 15 minutes. So the first one I'll talk about, it's a game called Unsighted. So I downloaded this and Death's Door because I'd seen them showing up on a lot of like top 10 lists. And Death's Door I'd wanted to play anyway. It's not on Game Pass anymore, so I bought it on Switch. And I started playing it, and it's just not clicking with me, at least right away. I'm still really early in the game, but it just feels like that it's lacking something, and I don't know what that something is. So I checked out Unsighted, and I'm really enjoying Unsighted. So Unsighted is very akin from a gameplay standpoint to like a top-down Zelda, because you're going around on this, in these environments, and you're going into these dungeons and, solving environmental puzzles and things of that nature. The combat is definitely a little bit more involved than your typical Zelda game. It's not as forgiving as a Zelda game. Requires a little bit more precision. It feels like a cliche to call every slightly harder than average combat Souls-like at this point. It's definitely not Souls-like, but it's not easy. Like it's if you can't mash your way to victory, you have to be smart and precise with what you're doing. But what's interesting about Unsighted is the story is of this, Here's the world. Humans are gone because they fucked everything up, as humans are wont to do. And all that's left is these automatons they built to help them, carry out society. But the automatons have gained like some kind of sentience, but they're good. Like they're not. It's not like they killed the humans or anything. Like the humans fucked themselves, and the automatons are all that's left. But the automatons all have like they're kind of like replicants that they have these like fucking timers in them where after a certain amount of time, they'll go unsighted, which is where the name of the game comes from. Which basically being like they kind of turn feral and they lose their mind essentially, and those are the enemies that you're fighting as you're fighting unsighted automatons. Where it gets interesting is that every single NPC that you talk to in the game and your character all have like this doom timer that's present in the game where it's like, so and so has X amount of hours left before they go unsighted, and the time frame varies wildly. And so the game takes place in, like real time, like not real time, our time, but like there's a continuing clock in the game essentially that runs on a day-night cycle. And there's a resource in the game called magic dust that you can give to an automaton to extend their life by 24 hours. But the thing is that this magic dust is a fixed resource. Like there's only so much that you can get in the game. Mm-hmm. So you can't save everybody. Like there are people that are going to die. And the thing is that it's not like just random people that you run into. Like the shopkeepers and like the vendors in the game are all have this fucking doom timer. And if somebody dies, you can't partake in their services anymore. And it's not like when the weapons guy dies that there's just another weapons guy in town somewhere. You just can't buy weapons anymore at that point. Like you can still craft them, but like you can't buy them. And like if the robot that does your upgrades kicks the bucket, guess what? You're not upgrading your weapons anymore. Like that's literally how it works. And all of them have this like pet project that they're working on, and they're like, oh, I'm trying to do this really cool thing. I just hope I have enough time to finish it off. And so you're not gonna be able to get like all these like premium bonuses from them. So that's really cool because it adds this like, this element of you have to basically decide who lives and dies. I would assume if your character goes unsighted that you've like game over, like you lose the game. So like that's another thing you have to worry about as well. So that's really cool. And what's also really cool is that you can actually turn that off. So like if you don't want to deal with the stress of having to let NPCs eat it after a while, you can just disable the timer and they'll all live, and you can play through the game how you want to. But Unsighted is pretty cool. If you like that sort of action adventure game, I'd recommend checking it out. It's pretty nifty. Good soundtrack too. It's like I said, I'm digging it. I expected to like it. I didn't expect it to like it as much as I am right now. So that's on Switch and PC. I think it's on other consoles too, but I know it's on those two for sure. So give that a shot if that sounds interesting to you. And now Mike is going to sell you things.
This thing is getting rave reviews.
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to look it up and pretend that I'm going to buy it, and then really not buy it.
Or buy it and don't play it.
Yeah, that is what's going to happen. Go to densepixels.com/fans to be invited into our Discord. When you go, Discord's kind of cool, and we got like a lot of different channels to talk about things, and you can promote your streams in the streams channel, or you can send us messages in the post office that we will read. So go to densepixels.com/fans. Go to youtube.com/densepixels and subscribe. Super click that subscribe button. That's something that I stole from another YouTuber. And you can see us. You can see me, and I'm sick. You can see Brad looking very Bradley. So yes, go to youtube.com/densepixels. I mean, it's a new year. It's the same old shit. Subscribe to all of our shows, wherever you get your podcasts, including the Nerd Apocalypse, Black on Black Cinema, Coming Distractions, and a weekly preview episode of Look Forward. And go to densepixels.com/premium to sign up for premium content for $5 a month or $50 for the full year. Now, before I rattle off all of the stuff that's going to be on the premium content, I've had a meeting with Jay, and if he hears this, great. But I've had a meeting with Jay, and we're going to retool some things, and we're going to make sure that we get more premium content out there this year. So more episodes of No Time to Bleed. There'll be shorter episodes, right? Like we're not doing 2-hour diatribes anymore, right? But instead of 1 2-hour podcast every 6 months, we're gonna try to do a 45 to 60-minute podcast every month. So that's one of the things that we're going to try and start doing. And you can listen to all of our back episodes of things like The Airing of Grievances, our Seinfeld podcast, the aforementioned No Time to Bleed, which I guess we still have to do your movie, the movie that you wanted to do.
Oh, I didn't request it, but I'm happy to be doing it. So.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
The Men with the Golden Tongues.
When we wanted to do it, it was really timely. So just because there was a presidential transfer of power.
The Men with the Golden Tongues, which will have the next episode. Now, here's a peek behind the curtain, folks. This is a programming thing between Brad and I. Just listen along, see how the sausage is made. Do you want to? No Time to Die is available, is out on home video. Mm-hmm. Do you want to take a break from the Metal Gear series to do that, or just finish out the Metal Gear series with 3 and 4?
Oh, we can't leave the people waiting for James Bond deep dives like that. Like we could definitely
I figured. I mean, that's
No Time to Die.
Yeah, that's the name of the show. I mean, the name of the show is it's a James Bond pun, right? So okay, so the next episode, January's episode, will be of our expanded thoughts and review of No Time to Die, and a little more thoughts about the future of the Bond franchise. Upstage conversation. Carrie's still plugging away at that. And the 4 episodes of the Look Forward Political podcast. I'm very much looking forward to that show coming back.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking insane this week. So much shit happening. I'm recording that tonight after I record this, so like I said, you'll get to see me, and I'll probably have a drink in hand because that's the only way we're going to make it through this political minefield landscape. And also because I've been tossing this at the back of the show, but I want to toss it up front. Go to twitch.tv/densepixels and make sure you follow on Twitch if you use Twitch TV on the main Dense Pixels channel. And of course, you can follow all of us as well. I'm Dense Pixels Brad, Carrie is Up, it's Carrie, Terrence is Apparition 410. But we're going to be looking to utilize the Twitch channel more in the coming year, including possibly doing Dense Pixels LIVE live when we do it. So you guys can check that out. So again, make sure you follow us there as well. The other game that I've been playing, so it's interesting. So like, my quest to play every roguelike deck builder continues in earnest. And so that's led me to, occasionally to genres of games that I would never probably seek out on my own. So there was a game series that came out in the early and mid aughts that was very popular on the Game Boy Advance console called Mega Man Battle Network. And for those of you unfamiliar, Mega Man Battle Network is a sort of like I'd call it a real-time tactics game that takes place on so like it's you versus an opponent or multiple opponents, and it takes place on each of you, on a 3x3 2D grid that you can move around freely, and you'd have to equip Mega Man with like circuits or chips, I think they called them, that gave you attacks that you could perform, but the attacks all had a specific like pattern, kind of like, kind of like an area of effect, or like an area, a tile that they would affect on the opposite side, based on what it is. So you'd have to like tactically maneuver stuff in real time. It's a very popular niche series, especially in Japan. But they haven't made them in a while. So there was a developer who, a couple of years ago, really wanted another Mega Man Battle Network game, and I don't think Capcom's planning on doing that at any point. So he made one himself and incorporated that gameplay into a roguelike deck builder. And that is a game called One Step from Eden. So it literally is Mega Man Battle Network, like where you're on a 4x4 grid, you and your opponents. But instead of having chips, you have a deck of cards, and each card has they're spells basically that you can cast. And you'll only ever have 2 in your hand at a time, and when you use one, it goes into your discard pile, and then the next, one from your deck comes into play, and once you exhaust them, your deck reshuffles, and you start anew until the battle's over. And I was not expecting to be like hopelessly addicted to this game, but I'm hopelessly addicted to this game. I'm also really bad at it because it's hard. Because so like it's very Slay the Spire-y, where like you have these paths and you have some choice over which way you can go, and you can see what encounters that you're going to endure along the way. After every battle is won, you get a choice of 3 cards that you can add to your deck. If you get like treasures and stuff like that, those are relics that give you like permanent passive effects that affect your run differently. There's 9 characters in the game, each of which has at least 2 different builds that determine like your starting loadout, essentially, and they each have like special abilities that are unique to them, which is pretty cool. And the thing that I think this game does that's really cool in the deck building space is that you can determine, so like there's like I think 10 types of cards. And what I mean by types of cards, like if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, think of each type of card as a color, and each color has like certain themes associated with it. You can, when a run starts, or anytime during your run really, you can pick the 2 themes that you want to focus on. And by picking those themes, you're not guaranteed to get cards of that type showing up in your rewards, but you're far more likely to do it. So you have a lot more influence over the type of build that you're trying to do. And it just lends itself to a lot of experimentation, which I think is very fucking cool. In games like this, like in Slay the Spire, you're completely beholden to RNGesus as far as being able to build a competent deck that flows. In this game, you have a little bit more direction over what you're doing. Game is really fun. It's really fucking hard. Like the battles are all fast paced. To complete a run, to make it all the way to Eden, you have to go through 8 different worlds essentially, and each world has like 6 different encounters that you're going to have to go through, including a boss battle. The bosses are very difficult. I mean, like anything else in games like this, they have a pattern to them, and once you learn the pattern, it's a lot easier. I've only made it as far as the 4th of 8 worlds so far, and I've played this game probably about 5 or 6 hours at this point. So I'm going to keep grinding away at it. But if you are a fan of the Mega Man Battle Network series, I would highly encourage checking out One Step from Eden, because this game's really cool, and it's got a theme. Like, it's got the fucking weebiest theme. It's light on story, but the aesthetics are very anime, which I don't like. But for some reason, it's not bothering me. So I'm happy to play the game. I'm a little miffed that there's not really much story to tell, but I guess in a game like this, you don't really need it. But it's fun, and like I said, I wasn't expecting to be into this as much. I picked it up on a pretty good sale on the Switch, and I probably played that more than I've played anything else over the past week or so. Very cool. Okay. There are no new releases this week, if you believe it. I believe it because it's the beginning of January. However, there are 3 new games that PlayStation owners can get for free from the good folks at Sony. The first one is Persona 5 Strikers. That's on PS4 or PS5. a spin-off of Persona 5. Carrie says it's very good, worth checking out.
I'll have to play that.
Yeah, and now it's free. Dirt 5 is available on PS5 and PS4. This is, the next game in the Dirt series, off-road racing. So if you're a racing fan, check it out. And then there's Deep Rock Galactic, and I'll be interested to get Terrence's thoughts on this, because I saw Terrence playing it last night, because I was playing it last night, because I heard nothing but good things about Deep Rock Galactic, which is a game where you play as dwarven miners that are mining asteroids in space. Like, that's literally what you're doing in the game, is you're mining ore, and getting into conflicts with like these bugs that reside within the asteroids. It's a cooperative game. There's like different classes, and different classes have different specialties in terms of like being good at drilling or combat or scouting and things like that. It looked really fun, and I bet you this seems like one of those games that is way more fun if you're playing with people that you know, because you can play up to 4 players cooperatively. I played it pretty much I played it solo, with the like helper robot that they have when you play solo, and I queued into some like public lobbies with folks, and I just wasn't feeling it, at least not at first. So I'd be because it's a quirky game, and Terrence likes his quirky, so I'm curious to see what he thinks about this. So
notice how Brad said that he's curious how what Terrence's opinion of it is, because he knows good and hell well there's no way I'm playing this game.
I mean, it's basically like the miners version of No Man's Sky, so I don't expect you to play this.
Yeah, no, get out of here, get out of here. Oh, hey, you and your buddies can go to work. No, I don't.
You literally are, Micah. Like when you come across an ore vein, like you bust out a pickaxe and just chip shit away and try to get it out of there. It's an interesting concept. It didn't click with me, and I was disappointed, because that seems like the kind of thing that I might get into. All right, so to punish us, and by proxy punish you, the listener and viewer, because we missed 2 weeks ago because my Verizon internet because it did crap out, and because it almost crapped out again this week, and because of the holidays. Typically, holidays pretty slow news time for the video game industry, which is great, because that way if we miss a week, we're not missing a whole lot. But the gaming universe decided to pick these past couple weeks as the weeks to just have a geyser full of shit coming up from the ground, to spew out all of the NFT news that you could possibly want in the video game industry. We lead off with what I'd have to imagine when you heard about what NFTs were, and when you learned that it's basically like just the latest grifty speculation scam that kind of exists out in the marketplace, and it was coming to the video game industry. Surely some of us thought of one name that would emerge from his hibernation of doing fucking nothing in the gaming industry for the past several years, and poke his bald head up among the clouds like a fucking video game Jeff Bezos, and get in on this fucking grift as soon as humanly possible. So if you're surprised to hear that Peter Molyneux is all the way fucking in with NFTs, do you even know Peter Molyneux at this point, is my question to you. And apparently, he's already made $53 million from this.
This is gross.
Because he's selling... He's basically developing a game where people can currently buy up land like a fucking 19th century speculator in America in this game. And there's a plot of land in the game that he's literally sold for $900,000 so far.
Jesus Christ.
Which has to be made. The purchases have to be made with, you guessed it, Micah, cryptocurrency. You can't just give actual money for these land NFTs. That's what he's calling them. They're land NFTs.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know. I mean, have we hit idiocracy yet? Have
Dude,
we?
we're just getting started with NFTs, buddy. Well, with this whole shit.
Digital prospectors with a land NFT can then found their own quote in-game blockchain business association, with the idea being that you will then earn your money back and then some. I mean, if that idea doesn't sound suspicious to you, the fact that it's coming from the the personification of overpromise underdeliver should tell you something. Like, come on, man! Like this is ridiculous, dude.
Dude, I mean, I'm happy. I'm just happy for him that he can finally come through on his fucking. If you plant a seed, you can watch it grow into a tree. Like that could literally happen on your fucking NFT plot of land that you
Holy
can buy
shit!
from Peter Molyneux. Good God, man! This is insane. So, fuck Peter Molyneux. Now, the company that first went fucking whole hog, like the first major publisher that saw the dollar signs, right, and just fucking lit up was Ubisoft. And they so they have like these NFTs that they've created for Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Where if you if you play 600 hours of Breakpoint, you can get this cool helmet NFT that's yours and only yours. And then you can go onto the Ubisoft Court store and sell it to people. And people are going to want to buy it because it's unique, because NFTs are the future. And, of course, Ubisoft wanted to get in on that because if you're selling it on the Ubisoft Court store, they're going to get a percentage of the sale every time it sells. And that's great. They're going to make all sorts of fucking money. So people were listing these NFTs on this site for just like gobsmackingly stupid amounts of money, like $600, $6,000, like $1,200, like that kind of shit. And so basically, after the first couple weeks of having this store, Ubisoft partnered with a cryptocurrency provider called Tezos, who has a currency called Tezons, because, all of this shit's going to sound like far future fucking bullshit as we go. So the entire volume that has been sold after a couple weeks for this Ubisoft store is equal to 94.49 Tezons. Now, one Tezon equals $4, which I will note makes it an exchange rate worse than one Bison dollar. But but if you're a math wizard, just under $400 of total volume have been moved in 15 total sales on the Ubisoft NFT store, which is fucking great to me. I love it. I love to see it. Gamers really don't like this shit, man. Like they came out.
Not. And like you're trying to grift people who know what this shit is, right? Like
they're not
gonna,
stupid, man. Like these aren't fucking rubes that you're like that you're like going door to door selling snake oil. Yeah. Like these people are savvy. A lot of them are,
right. Like God help all those. I love all the parents who used to come into GameStop and buy games and just not know what the game is, right? Like I get it, right? But like you are trying to sell to people who know what this shit is and know that it's a scam. And the people that would buy it don't know what this is, so they're not going to trust it. Yeah. I can go downstairs right now and tell my wife a Tazon, and she'll be like, "What is a Tazon? We're not naming our child Tazon. Get out of here!" Like that's ridiculous. So I just can't. Nah, man.
Here, but the funny thing is, like, the scam, like, it's not like this is a new fucking grift, man. Like this, like the scams are the same. Like it's the same three grifts that just happen perpetually throughout history. It's just the delivery method gets more sophisticated. That's literally all this is. Like, you're literally speculating, and like NFTs thrive because of the greater fool economic theory. And for those of you that don't know what the greater fool is, just to sum it up in a sentence, basically you buy something assuming there's a bigger idiot than you out there that'll buy it from you for a higher price. That's literally all it is.
Yep.
So you're just buying this thing that you are hoping to resell for more money to make a profit off of it. And the ultimate goal at the end of the day is to not be the one holding the bag when the bubble bursts on the marketplace. That's literally it.
You don't want to be Will Smith in the pursuit of happiness, right? Like, he bought a bunch of like computers or whatever and just trying to sell them to people. Like, nah, man. Like, it is one of the oldest tricks in the book. And you're right, it hasn't changed.
So the bad news is that despite the fact that it's just obvious bullshit, companies are rushing to fucking get into this market as fast as they possibly can. And you would think, like, I can't think of a company more diametrically opposed in its perception in various things than Square right now, right? Because Square, on one hand, has like the most popular, a game so popular, they had to stop selling it because they couldn't support the amount of popularity that the game had. Like, they literally had to stop selling Final Fantasy XIV because too many people wanted to play it. So they're like, we just have, and by the way, mad respect to them for doing that. Like, they could have easily just been like, we're going to make as much money as we can, and people are going to be pissed off and have a shitty experience because, you know, we're going to have like, you know, miles long server queues because we don't have enough capacity to deal with this. But they're like, nah, this isn't right. We need to stop selling the game right now because we can't afford to add any new users to the marketplace because they're going to have a bad user experience, which I never thought I'd see the fucking day where a video game company would prioritize UX over profit. But here we are. But on the other hand, Square, the publisher of Marvel's Avengers, Square, the company that didn't know what to do with an outrageously successful live service game in Hitman, literally didn't know what to do with it, and we're willing to just be like, we'll just get rid of it because we don't know what we're doing with this right now. So like they literally jettisoned IO Interactive just because they're just like, we don't know. And now IO's making a James Bond game. So great job, Square, you fucking idiots. But there's a letter that was released from the president of Square Enix, Yosuke Matsuda, where he hopes that NFT and blockchain technology will become a major trend in gaming, saying, quote, blockchain games are built upon the premise of a token economy and therefore hold the potential to enable self-sustaining game growth. And he also, perhaps the grossest part of this letter is he says, and again, remind yourself that he's talking about video games. I realize that some people who play to have fun and who currently form the majority of players have voiced their reservations towards these new trends, and understandably so. But I believe that this will lead to more people devoting themselves to such efforts and to greater possibilities of games growing in exciting ways. From having fun to earning to contributing, a wide variety of motivations will inspire people to engage with games and connect with one another. It's blockchain-based tokens that will enable this.
I mean, this is literally what like the corporate like bigwigs think of their workers. And now you are trying to expand that into the consumer base.
Here's the next sentence. Ready for this? Because it just keeps getting better. Quote, by designing viable token economies into our games, we will enable self-sustaining game growth, It is precisely this sort of ecosystem that lies at the heart as what I refer to as decentralized gaming, and I hope that this becomes a major trend in gaming going forward. Yo, you're literally trying to outsource your game development to your gamers. What the fuck are you doing?
Yo, come on, yo. Oh shit!
You are creating you are trying to create content farms that you as a company can profit off of, instead of just making good games that will grow because they're good. Like, oh, I don't know, Final Fantasy fucking 14, which Square fucking published. Like, I don't understand how like they have the most successful game in the industry right now, a live service game, a subscription-based live service game, no less, that's making all the fucking money right now, that has no signs of stopping making the fucking money, that has possibly the most rabid and devoted and passionate fan base of any video game in the known universe right now. And they're just like, we just don't know how to make games that are going to be sustainable. We just don't know how to do it, guys. The only way we can do it is to get into blockchain.
A game that existed, died,
Right.
and they believed in enough to resurrect, and now is the biggest thing out there.
Yeah. But Micah, how are we going to create sustainable games, Micah? I don't know the answer to this question. Let's get in on this scam before the fucking gold tap dries up.
Jesus
Good
Christ.
Lord. I am not going to enjoy this next year. Covering this fucking story, which is not going to go away. It's only going to become more prevalent, and it's going to make me fucking miserable week to week. You listeners and you viewers are going to see me devolve into fucking NFT psychosis over having to talk about this bullshit, and it's the same fucking thing every time, because not anywhere in any of these fucking statements that these companies are putting out are they describing how the fuck NFTs are supposed to make games better. Or how the fuck they're supposed to make games more engaging to play. It's just about making fucking money. Like, that's literally all it's about.
Yeah, like at least with the era of the plastic instruments and doohickeys and doodads, like at least that was some sort of gameplay innovation in quotes. But and those things got on my nerves, right? But like you said, this is just, let's squeeze another couple of, let's see how we can fool people into giving us more money.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not like some person who's like, all corporations are evil and they don't need to exist. I mean, only one of those is true. But at the same time, like, come on, man. Like, I mean, if you act evil, like, don't get mad when people call you evil.
Seriously. It's not fucking hard to figure out. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. God. Fucking hate it. But yeah, more on this to come, because like I said, that the train has fucking left the station at this point. Like, it is not we're not going to prevent it from leaving. We can only do our best to fucking make sure we're not participating in the grift that's fucking going on with NFTs. Don't buy a fucking NFT, for Christ's sake. Yeah. I listen to all like if you on Twitter, like listening to blockchain Twitter is like it's like the next evolution of like Tesla Twitter, and it's all the same people, so like that's why it's also fucking hilarious, because they're like, oh, like what if NFT ebooks like are gonna be fucking great, like you can have an ebook that you can have in a file that you can then distribute. I'm just like, you just described the PDF. Like, good job, buddy. Like we've literally had this for 2 decades at this point. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Holy shit.
It's insane. So with NFTs going on with, Activision, Blizzard, and Ubisoft being fucking awful as companies, one company that's really fallen off the radar somewhat because there hasn't been a lot of news about them recently was Riot Games. Who are, the OGs really of getting workplace discrimination lawsuits tossed at them. So they settled a lawsuit, or they lost actually a lawsuit back in 2019 that forced them to pay $10 million to thousands of folks that they discriminated against. The ruling was appealed, and now Riot actually owes $100 million to settle the lawsuit that they had over there in 2018. So the majority of it, about 80% of it, will go to the women who either currently or formerly worked for Riot since November 2014. Who will receive a part of the settlement. There's 2,300 workers that are going to receive part of the settlement. And then the rest of it will be paid as attorney fees and miscellaneous expenses. As I heard on another podcast, if you wonder why more people don't step forward about this stuff, it's because it's very expensive to go after giant fucking companies, as evidenced by $20 million going towards the lawyers who fucking brought this suit against Riot Games. But this is cool. Like I said, that's not, I mean, to Riot, it's not a ton because they make a shitload of money with League of Legends and a bunch of other stuff nowadays. But I mean, still, $100 million is not a amount of money to just kind of sniff at and look the other way. Like that's, and since it's 10 times more than the original judgment against them, this is pretty good news, pretty good story, I think.
Yeah, man. This is what needs to happen. Companies need to be made examples of. It's not even necessarily about the restitution being the amount of money, but when you see that big number, like that's all companies care about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Like you can't just treat people like shit and then throw up a Netflix anime and hope people forget about it. Like, nah, yo, like they won't. So good. Pay up.
Now the other flip side of this coin, and we've been talking about this on this show a lot, is that, you know, when these stories come out, when you talk about workplace harassment and you find yourself in the news constantly, it is in the company's best interest to act quickly, because those stories being allowed to linger and you not taking action to do anything about them will long term have huge detrimental effects. Case in point, apparently, people are leaving Ubisoft in such a rate that that employees are coining it the Great Exodus. Like that's literally what their name is. So it's been underreported, but in the past 18 months, there have been many people leaving Ubisoft developers at all levels. A couple of the reasons cited for the departure: low pay, competitive opportunities elsewhere, frustration at the creative direction of the company, unease at handling of workplace misconduct. And one experienced developer who left the company said, because of all of this stuff going on, if you're at a game company and you're trying to headhunt people and recruit people, it's like shooting fish in a barrel to go to Ubisoft right now because they're not fucking doing anything about it. Five of the top 25 developers credited on Far Cry 6 have left the company in the past year. Wow. 12 of the top 50 developers who worked on Assassin's Creed Valhalla have left the company over the past 18 months. One programmer said that he was able to triple his pay by leaving Ubisoft.
Jesus. Triple.
If you want an idea of what of how Ubisoft's wages compare in the industry, there you go.
Yeah, I was about to say, because it's not like that means that Ubisoft is paying and then that new job pay them a lot more. No, that says that Ubisoft is underpaying people.
Yeah. Man. Now Ubisoft is claiming that their attrition numbers are only slightly higher than normal. I mean, what else are they going to say in the wake of this news? So, yeah, I mean, like we've been saying it, like, fuck around if you want, but you will find out eventually. And Ubisoft, I think, it sounds to me like it's starting to find out, and I get the sense that Activision Blizzard might be seeing very similar stories about them, closer to the end of this year, if things go the way they're going with those folks.
Quite frankly, I'm surprised that the mass exodus is seems to be starting with Ubisoft. I figured it would I figured it would be one of the companies located here, but maybe that's just a testament to how the job market is over there than it is over here.
Yeah. Well, the other problem in America with that kind of stuff is that, like, especially in reading that Jason Schreier book, which if you haven't, Press Reset is excellent and should check it out. It's hard, man, to be a developer in America because, like, studios, like in Canada, like the studios are most of the bigger ones are concentrated in a couple of areas there. So, like, even if you leave, studio in Montreal, there's probably a couple others close by in Quebec that you can check out. But like in America, they're just all fucking over the place. Like there's a concentration in Austin, and there's a whole bunch in Santa Monica and areas like that, of course. But outside of that, like it's a bit more disparate and it's hard to relocate. Now that's going to be a little bit easier as remote working becomes more prevalent and as more companies are finding that they can have the same output. Having someone work remotely full time than having needing them in the office. But that's still a tough gig if you're a developer picking up and moving constantly. Like there's stories in that book of developers that literally traveled, uprooted and moved across the country 4 or 5 times just to, match whatever job they had at the time. Which to me, as someone who's lived in the same, around or generally around the same city my entire life, is crazy to think about. So
yeah. Anyway, yeah, good. I'm glad that Ubisoft is finding out what happens when you treat people like garbage. I don't have a segue. Go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all of your Amazon purchases.
If you like being treated like garbage, as a consumer.
When you go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all of your Amazon purchases, you help us out a little bit. And it's nice to help us out. I mean, yeah, you get what you want, but like we need your help. And it's the easiest way to help us out. Go to densepixels.com/Amazon and get what is on here. Get a Marvel Legends Wolverine 5-pack for $120. It features Omega Red, Cyber, Callisto, Jason Wingard, and Wolverine. So there you go. Go get that and then give it to me. At densepixels.com/Amazon.
We've had a couple letters in the post office for a little while. Apparently, Louis DeJoy has made his seedy hands into Dense Pixels and has slowed the mail from being delivered. We'll start with Max, who says, "Is there any games that flew under your radar or that you just haven't had a chance to get to yet that you'll want to try at some point in the future?"
That flew under my radar. Not really, but I'm very much the big blockbuster game guy. Mm-hmm. And those games tend to get all the praise, all the ads. So I know about them. But if someone tells me that something is good, I might check it out. Like that, Unsighted. I started looking up stuff and reading on it while you were talking about it, and that legit looks like interesting. Mm-hmm. I can get over the fact that it looks like a game that I played 25 years ago. And it does look interesting. Like I legit might check that out.
So I mean that is basically what my Switch is I'm constantly finding games that flew under my radar when they came out that kind of like for me, like if I'm the complete opposite where like the blockbuster games that I'm into I'll know about, but if there's an indie game that comes out that I don't play when it first comes out that doesn't have a lot of hype behind it, but people keep talking about it and keep talking about it and keep talking about it, I'm going to probably find my way to it eventually. The next one on my list, as far as that goes, not on Switch, is The Outer Wilds, because everyone talks about how fucking amazing The Outer Wilds is, and I haven't played it yet. And I was getting ready to buy it on PlayStation because it went on sale, and then literally today, they announced the new Game Pass games for January, and they're just like Outer Wilds. I'm like, well, man, this fucking Xbox is paying dividends like crazy already. Like, it just saved me, it literally saved me my Game Pass subscription cost for a month because it's $15 on PlayStation. So,
what I'm very curious to see how you take to that, because it's a good game, but
mm-hmm.
I'd never finished it.
Yeah, I know. I know a little bit about it. Like, obviously, I've stayed away from spoilers because I've heard that it's definitely a game that you don't want spoiled for you, that you want to experience it. So I'm also curious to see how I take to it, because if it doesn't, it's like games nowadays, man, especially stuff like that. You've got like 90 minutes to at least hook me into what you're doing, and if you can't get me in 90 minutes, then I'm probably dipping off at that point. Like, yeah, I'll give you a fair shake. I'll give you a fair shake.
You might have to give that a solid. You might have to give that. You might have to give that like a solid 2 hours.
I mean, that's only 30 minutes more than 90 minutes. So, like, that's fair.
Yeah. So you gotta kind of, you'll get the vibe very quickly.
Yeah.
Once you've reached the first town of what that game is.
But I mean, like this is a game that's so good that they had an expansion come out this year, and people that are fans of the game even said, like, man, the expansion's not quite as good as the original, but it's still my number one game of the year. I'm like, that's really fucking high praise to throw on something, to be like, hey, this expansion is not as good as the original game, but it's still the best game that I played this year. I'm like, well, that's insane to me. But go figure. So we're gonna check that out, and we'll give it a shot. Daniel asks, what is your high score for number of tries to kill a single boss?
Number of tries to kill a single boss. I don't know the
fighting game boss, right? For you?
Yeah. It's like God Rugel or some shit like that from like from like Capcom versus SNK. I don't know. Like, I watch a couple of YouTubers who do this, right? And there was recently a mod out for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I watched a couple of YouTubers who went to go fight Galactus, and it's supposed to make Galactus like the hardest fucking thing in the game, right? Like an SNK level boss. Because the Galactus in the vanilla game is not difficult to beat at all, right? It's very simple. But Justin Wong, championship fighting game player, it took him over 200 tries to beat this boss, this modded Galactus. I don't have the patience for that shit. I really, really don't. So I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's any fighting game. Like, I'm curious to see how King of Fighters 15 handles their final boss, because I haven't played an SNK game in a long time, and I'm gonna get King of Fighters 15, and I'm just curious. I haven't played one in a long time. I don't have a number, but it was probably a fighting game.
Mine was probably an action adventure game of some kind. I'm just trying to think of any, like, nothing stands out as being particularly frustrating. There are certainly bosses that I've had to take, 9, 10, 11 cracks at. But at that point, like, in most cases, especially in games like that are more action adventure-y, it's not because the boss is too hard, it's because I'm not doing what I need to do. Like, I know what I have to do. I'm just not doing it. Like, there's a boss in Unsighted right now that I'm fucking tangling with. Sorry, a mini boss, no less. That just like give me fits. And like, it's not like his patterns aren't hard. Like, they're very easy to figure out. I'm just not executing. Like that's my fucking problem. So, yeah. So, like, yeah, it's like they're inevitably every game like that is usually going to have at least one boss that's kind of like that for me, that it just takes me a few extra tries to wrap my brain around. Weirdly enough, I don't know why I remember this, in Link to the Past, the first boss of the Dark World, That fucking like scorpion that has the helmet that you have to break off with the hammer. For some reason, used to just frustrate the piss out of me. And it's not like, again, not like it was a great mystery on how to beat it. Like it just used to, I just used to die all the time to it, which made me very angry. That one sticks in my head for some reason. I don't know why. Film Wanderer asks, what game has the best music in 2021? I guess we're gonna have to go with what we played, because I don't think that we've really played any of the ones that were highly regarded as having the best music.
I mean, of the games I've played, I feel like it's a cheat to say. I feel like it's a cheat to say more Guardians of the Galaxy, right? But music is implemented very well in that game, especially the licensed music, and not just the super mode where like you huddle up and then you try to motivate your team, and then some licensed music plays or something like that. Kickstart My Heart or some shit plays. But the music in the cutscenes is, some of the scenes also have licensed music. There's flashbacks to when Peter is a child and he's listening, and the radio is playing in the background, and the song, either the name of the song or the lyrics of the song tie to the scene. I can't give an example off the top of my head, but yeah, it's sometimes it's like on the nose, and it's just like, all right, I get it, right? But other times it's a little more subtle, and it's not like blaring, you know what I mean? Like it's in the background, and if you're not paying attention to it, you wouldn't notice it. The only other music that I really dug was in Deathloop, and that's just because the I like the like 60s like Bond-esque but like somewhat updated type of music. You know what I mean? Like it that music fits well with the vibe that game is going for.
I'm looking at my top 10 right now, as far as games of the year. Not the best music. Returnal has the best sound design. Like it's cool how important sound is to that game, but it doesn't have a great sound. It doesn't have great music. I mean, Unsighted's got a really dope soundtrack associated to it. I'm looking through my list. I mean, it feels like a cheat to say Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon has a great soundtrack, because they're just remixes of the Shovel Knight songs, which are also fucking excellent. But that's that's fucking up there as well. Yeah, like that. It's probably Unsighted for me as far as what I played this year. Small shout out to Loop Hero if you like chiptune soundtracks, because Loop Hero has a banger chiptune soundtrack as well. So
there you go.
That's worth checking out too. Finally, Johnny says, after watching Punk, and not CM Punk, Punk the fighting game pro, lose $500, and also watching people lose to Pokemon Nuzlocke bets, is it ever a good idea to listen to the chat or any backseat gamer? Also, how much are you willing to wager to prove you can win at your favorite competitive video game?
One, watching Punk lose $500 was wonderful to me, because I find Punk incredibly annoying. I don't, his voice, his look, his attitude, everything about him I find annoying. He can put my ass in a fighting game, but not in the fighting game of life. So watching him lose $500 was wonderful to me. No, I used to, when I used to go to Otakon, I'm one of those nerds that was or is, depending on who you talk to, not nerdy enough for the nerds, but too nerdy for the quote unquote normal people. So I would go to things like Otakon, but like I would go to play video games, right? Like I'm not going there to dress up or go to too many panels, right? And I would go and I would play fighting games, and one of my friends, he would always try to help me out. Because look, I'm not bad. I'm not good, but I'm not bad, right? But he would always try to help me out, and just telling me, okay, so it's the most annoying fucking thing in the world, is what I'm saying. So don't listen to the chat. Like, you will figure out how to play the game by playing it. And would I ever wager anything to prove that I was good at something? Let me tell you something. If I'm willing to bet you on something, I'm right. Like, don't don't. If I initiate and I say, "Do you want to bet?" You just know that I am right and you are wrong, because I am not. I am so risk adverse when it comes to fucking throwing money away for nothing. No, when I say, "Do you want to bet?" You better turn your ass around, because you are wrong.
When I was in my early 20s, I would have I would have bet on myself had I the money to throw away. I would have bet on myself for at least a couple of $100 in a game of Madden against a regular dude, like not not like a Madden Pro, obviously, but like back in the day. Yeah, I was good enough that I felt confident enough to beat regular gamers to the tune of a couple $100 if I was so inclined. Now, no.
Yeah.
there's not a game out there that I have played that I feel I'm skilled enough at to wager dollars to reinforce my skill. No, not anymore. Like, those days are far behind me, because I don't have the practice time to put in as I used to back in the day.
Yo, $500.
Yeah,
is a lot of money for a fighting.
I've told the story of my greatest video game, like competitive video game achievement of all time. Am I not on the show? I think I have, but it's been a while. So if you're a newer listener. So Madden 03 was a game that I was very good at, and I had a friend who was not as good as me, and he couldn't beat me. So he resorted to I don't remember what we wagered, but we wagered something, and he says, he's like, I may not be able to beat you in Madden, but you can't shut me out. And I said, not only will I shut you out in a game of Madden, I will beat you 71-0. And I picked 71-0 because 71 is my favorite number. And so he said, he's like, I can't lose. So we started playing. He had I had witnesses, by the way. Like there's witnesses to this story. We started playing, and sure enough, I'm whipping his ass. Like I'm unbeatable on defense. I'm running up the score on offense. Like, I am beating the shit out of him. So it's clear I'm on the way. So I score a touchdown, and I'm at 68 points. So I realized, like, oh shit, like, I am at 68 points. I don't want to kick this extra point, because that way I need a field goal to get to 71 to come true to my word. So I run a 2-point conversion out of bounds, get the ball back from him on the ensuing drive from him, march down the field, kick a field goal. It's 71-0. The entire fucking, every like, my friends there are losing their mind. They can't believe that I fucking called this shot. What does my friend who I'm playing do on the ensuing kickoff after the field goal? He runs the ball out of the back of the end zone to take a safety to make it 73. Which was very clever on his part, I do admit. I still won the bet. Like everyone there would not let him take the way out to losing the bet there. So that was my greatest competitive gaming triumph of all time.
Yeah, he did a chicken shit heel move.
He did. Like, I respect it. I respect the hell out of it. So good times. So that's the show this week. Happy to be back. As Micah mentioned earlier, don't forget to go to densepixels.com fans to join the Discord. Make sure you're subscribing to the show wherever you download podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/densepixels. And again, follow us on Twitch. You can find us at densepixels. There's a lot of like fake densepixels accounts. If you just go to twitch.tv/densepixels, that's our account. You can also follow me at densepixels Brad. Terrence is Apparition 410. Carrie is Subject to Carry. I'm not a New Year's resolution guy. I really want to do more with Twitch this year. And this new fancy software that you guys have been able to provide us with, thanks to your premium support on the network, has made it a lot easier to do that. So it's something that I'd like to try to do this year. So we'll see how that goes. But that is it for us. Thank you guys very much for watching and listening, and we will see you all the next time.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here, and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.